In this video, I take questions that all of you have left in the comments and answer them to the best of my ability. And just remember, I'm not paid by any camera company to do this. I'm not endorsed, not sponsored. I'm not an ambassador for anything. Everything that I say is just my own opinion based on my experience. So don't let anything I say upset you, because at the end of the day, it's just an opinion and we all know what that means. So the number one question that I've been asked, I don't know how many times, in emails, on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere, and on YouTube is, Mark, do you have the Sony A1? And when I started to make this video, the answer to that question was no. But today, that changed. Look at this. Da, 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 da. UPS dropped this off this morning. So now the answer to that is yes. I now have the Sony A1, and check this out. This is pretty cool. There's a setting inside that allows you to close the shutter so that it doesn't get dust or dirt all over the sensor. I know the Canon R5 does that too, but that's actually kind of cool because you get a lot of dust and stuff inside these mirrorless cameras. So yeah, I now have the A1, and tomorrow shall be its maiden voyage. It's gonna be cool. Can't wait. So the second most popular question that I got by everybody is, Mark, I have a Fuji or a Canon or a Nikon or this camera or that camera. Should I sell it all and get a Sony A1? I've never seen so much talk about a camera as I have about the Sony A1. And the answer to that question is, should you sell all your stuff and get this? I don't know. This is a brand new camera. But if it does any of the stuff that they advertise, then it would be properly named the A1, the one camera that does it all. So in that case, if you like to shoot video and you like to shoot fast stuff, you like to do landscape, you like to do pretty much everything, then yeah, this camera will pretty much do everything. So they say. We'll find out soon. This question is from Osprey Mama. That's a pretty cool name. Mark, I have a question. If I want to get 2 signed first edition books, this is in reference to my Kickstarter, can the books be mailed to separate addresses? I want one to go to me in Florida and one to a friend in New York. Hope to get a reply soon. Take care. Yes, you can order 2 books and I can ship one to New York and one to Florida or wherever you want them to go. As of right now, there's 7 days left on the Kickstarter, and it's more than doubled the funding, which is absolutely amazing. I didn't think that would happen. And there's still plenty of time for you to get a book if you don't have one or you don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm going to put a link here. There'll be a link in the description. So you can go get a first edition copy of the book. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be all of my favorite Osprey stuff, pictures, and I'm going to write all of the story. The story's almost done. Actually, I finished, I think, the cover today. I got to sit on it, let it see how it feels the next day. But I think the cover is done, and it's amazing. Hardest part's going through all these pictures. Again, I'll put a link in the description, and here you can take part in the Kickstarter project. All the workshops are sold out. You can still get a signed first edition. You still get a first edition. You can still have your name printed in the book as a benefactor if you choose, I think, the 3rd pledge or something like that. So go check that out. And this question is from Calisag911. Awesome captures, Mark. Thanks for sharing. Say, would you have a link for the backpack you're using? Thanks, sir. This is the backpack that they're referring to, and it's made by the company Ruggard, R-U-G-G-A-R-D. I got this backpack from B&H because, hey, Pandora, don't do that. That's another one of my dogs. I'm dog rich. I have 5 dogs. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Anyways, this is a bag that will hold my 600 f4 with my actual camera attached to it with a lens hood reversed, and then I can carry it all together. I can actually fit 2 camera bodies in here, a teleconverter, batteries, chargers, all that good stuff. I'll put a link to that in the description. So if you're interested, you can go get that. It's got pouches on the side. But the really cool thing about it, other than I can carry all my stuff like that, is it's also like a really quick makeshift tripod. It's pretty sturdy, so you can rest your stuff right on the top and use it as a tripod in a pinch. You can lay down with it and use it as a tripod. I could sleep on it even. I do a lot of shooting, and hopefully that didn't, I probably hit the mic, so there might be some audio interference with that. I do a lot of shooting on the beach, so this works great if I want to get down low. I can just lay my gear on top of it without getting my gear in all the sand. I love this backpack. It's actually my favorite backpack. Works great. I highly recommend it. And the next question is from Mark MN. Hey Mark, congrats, well deserved. He's referring to my Osprey Kickstarter book. Can you share a link to the upcoming locations and dates for workshops? Thank you. The best way to stay up to date on any workshops that I'm doing is to go to my website, photoworkshopsandtours.com. I'll put a link here. I'll put a link in the description below. I have all kinds of cool stuff planned. I'm actually working on a new workshop for Conowingo Dam because I've had so many people ask me to go and help them shoot eagles there. So hopefully in November of this year, I can get that all squared away and you guys can come with me there and we can shoot some eagles together. It'd be a great time. Again, photoworkshopsandtours.com. That's where you can find all of my workshop information. A lot of them sell out very quickly, so go check it out, and I'll put a link here and here. And this question is from RGman2858. Man, I wish I could get photos this sharp. I'm using the Nikon D500 and the Tamron 150-600 G2, and I cannot get anywhere near as sharp photos, especially in flight. They're hot garbage, and I can never seem to lock focus. That wasn't really a question as much as a statement, but I'd like to address this because I've actually seen this problem a lot. I actually experienced it myself personally, and I hate to do this, but 9 times out of 10, it was the Tamron lens that was causing the issue. I had an earlier Tamron lens and it gave me nothing but trouble. I tried to upgrade to the G2 version and it was nowhere near as good as the 200-500 that I ultimately bought. I've taken out dozens of people in workshops who shoot the Tamron and they have trouble. And in order to troubleshoot and make sure it's not the gear, the first thing I'll do is we'll replace that Tamron lens with like my 200-500. And what do you know? The problem 9 times out of 10 goes away. So what I would suggest is I would try to get your hands on another lens, maybe a Nikon, just to see if that eliminates your problem. I'm gonna probably guess that it is. Now there are plenty of people who love the Tamron lenses and they get good results. I've never really had a good experience with their products. That's why I don't use them. That's why I don't recommend them. And when somebody comes to a workshop and I see they have that Tamron lens, I immediately know from past experience that there might be problems. So I'll suggest we swap out and see if that eliminates the problem. That's what I suggest you do as well. And this video is from Jeff Wingler. Mark, I've always been inspired by your photography and helpful videos. I'm an avid amateur wildlife photographer and I've always shot with Nikon gear. However, I'm seriously considering switching to Sony gear. I'm on a very limited budget, basically trying to spend only as much as I'll get for my Nikon gear, and I'm trying to decide which Sony body to buy. I'm sure you've probably gotten this question 100 times, but if you had to choose between the A7R4 and the A9, not A9 II body, which of these would you choose? Both of these bodies are about $3,000 and I can't afford the extra money for the A9 II right now. Both have a lot of pluses and minuses for wildlife. I plan on getting the Sony 200-600mm lens and maybe the 1.4 teleconverter. That's about all I can afford at this point. I know you shoot both bodies on many of your videos, so I'm hoping you can give me some advice. By the way, I shoot all forms of wildlife, from fast-moving gulls and ospreys to slow-moving elk, etc. I think that's a pretty easy question to answer. I would suggest you get the A9 over the A7R4, especially if you're getting the 200-600 lens. I don't like the results I get with the 200-600 lens on my A7R4. It works great on my A9 and on my A7S III, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I would suggest the A9. It's a great camera. I've taken mine put it through the ringer. Here it is. It's pretty old. I've used it. It's been heavily abused. Hey, hope Sony's not watching if I have to send it in for anything, because it got a whole wave on top of it one time and still worked. I know a lot of people complained that they weren't weather sealed, and I'm not saying you should go dunk it in water because I wouldn't do that. It was an accident. A big wave came over, soaked my camera. I thought for sure it wasn't going to work, but it worked. Still works. Never really given me any issues. I would suggest you get the A9. This question is from Greg Liskey. Excellent images. Have you given up on the Nikon D500 and D850? You made me spend all that money and now you're Sonified. Kidding. I love my Nikons. Look at this picture. This is actually my daughter's dog. This was shot on the Sony A9 with the Sony 135mm 1.8 late in the afternoon. He looks kind of like a Clydesdale. I wouldn't say that I've given up on the D500 or the D850, but it's hard for me to go backwards. And I feel like when I pick those up, I'm going backwards in time a lot. And it's one of those things you don't really notice until you move to mirrorless and you shoot mirrorless for a little while, and then you go back and pick up a DSLR. It's kind of like, ooh, what is this thing flapping? What is all of this? How did I even take pictures before with this camera? It's just one of those experiences. So I'm really happy with the stuff I get, the results, the images I get from my Sony gear. And that was quite a voyage moving from Nikon to Sony. Maybe one day I'll explain that because I think a lot of people might enjoy it, but it's way beyond the scope of this because there's a lot of aha moments that I went through that made me really bring Sony along with me and leave Nikon at home. I've met a lot of people who are in the same situation too. It's a tough place to be. So yeah. And this question is from Papa Bear, and he's talking about my one of my latest videos where I did some snowy owls and short-eared owls. Where did you find a short-eared owl? That's an interesting question, and I've actually had people get really nasty with me when I don't tell them where the stuff is. I even had a couple of people mail me and say, if you don't tell me the location where you're getting all these great Osprey shots, I'm gonna unsubscribe from you. Okay, go for it. I would actually recommend that you unsubscribe from me, maybe the internet too. I don't know, but there's reasons why I don't share a lot of the places. This place in particular, when I went, a lot of people helped me find the birds, and they asked me not to share the information on where they were in fear of people just like descending upon these birds and scaring them. There are a lot of wildlife photographers who don't put the wildlife first, and they will do whatever they can to get the shot. And sometimes if they find out about these locations, they'll go and they'll actually harass the animals. So I can't actually tell you where those owls were because I made a promise to the people that live there in that area that I wouldn't do that. And I do the same here in Florida. If there's something that's really fragile or rare, I don't always share it out here into the YouTube land because there's, like I said, there's bad people that do bad things and they ruin it for the rest of us. I think everybody kind of knows how that works. That's why we have so many rules in place for all the stuff. So I can't share that with you just out of respect for the people that live there. And this question is from Wicked Witch 1. Are you discounting the Nikon Z5, 6, and 7? Mark, I'm looking at buying a new camera and have the D750 with lenses at the moment, but do not know whether to keep with Nikon or move. I see you had a D850 and wonder why you changed. Was it the mirrorless system that attracted you to Sony? And if so, are there any other thoughts or reservations? The D850 and the Z systems would keep me with Nikon, but Sony is a big move if I were to do this. It would have to be a compelling reason to stay. Thanks for any thoughts. I've never used the Z5. I have used the Z6 for about a month. I used the Z7 for about a month. I used the Z6 II for about 5 minutes and I put it back in my car. I have the Z7 II here. Nikon sent it to me to actually try it out. I haven't taken it out of the box yet and I actually feel bad about that. It's gonna be really hard to do too when I have this here. I don't know, I just like the Sony gear a little bit better. Was it the mirrorless that pulled me? Yeah, definitely. The shooting mirrorless is a whole new world. You get live exposure, you get the exposure nailed almost all of the time. And then a lot of these Sony cameras have blackout free shooting, something you don't realize how beneficial it is until you go back to your DSLR. So if you're looking for me to give you a compelling reason to stay with Nikon, I can't really do that because I have kind of already moved on myself. And again, it's hard for me to take a step backwards in my mind and use stuff knowing what I can do with this. You can still get good, actually great images from any Nikon stuff. That's not the issue. The issue is the technology has kind of changed and moved forwards, and I get more, and I have an actual, I guess the real thing is I enjoy shooting my Sony gear much more than I enjoyed shooting the Nikon stuff. It's actually fun. It's like, it's hard to describe, but I just have a great time. I love the Sony stuff. This question is from Michael McLean. Hey Mark, giant fan. May I ask if you shoot your D850 handheld? I get away with murder on my D800, but the D850 is hard to shoot handheld. Be happy to pay for a video or tutorial. I shoot like 99% of my stills handheld. Same goes for video. And I think for me, this plays a big part. The foot in the bottom here, I put this extension on the foot because it helps me actually like hold this steady. So I will anchor this piece into the heel of my hand right here, and then I can grip the front of the barrel, and then I can just pivot like this. And it's easier for me to hold this lens like that without actually getting fatigued. So if this piece was shorter, like the default, I think it's a little bit more difficult, but that's just me. I've grown to really be able to do boom, like kind of lock it in here, and then I can shoot this thing, bam, 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 really good. I can, lift it really good. In fact, I was with a guy today who asked me why I wasn't using a monopod, because I was lifting this up and down, and I said, hey, I need the exercise. It's the last thing, it's the only thing I really do. So to have some type of physical activity is somewhat good. Now, with that said, if you're standing in one spot forever and you're waiting for something like an owl to do something, which is not uncommon because owls will just sit forever, standing there like this for an hour is not going to work unless you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe he can't even do it at that, because just holding this weight out from your body is a challenge. So yeah, then you might need a tripod or a monopod. I have a tripod. I'm using it right now to film this, but I've been experimenting with a monopod in really windy conditions. You can't really hold this big lens. It's like a sail. So it's really hard to hold. So I've been using this monopod in really windy conditions, and I really like it. It's a Manfrotto monopod. This is a big help too, the gimbal. I love this Pro Media Gear Katana Junior gimbal. It's fantastic, and it's really good on this monopod. But I like this monopod because it has these feet complete. You can hear that? Listen. Oh, that's beach sand. I've used this at the beach for a long time. So when you order it, you won't get it with sand. You have to go earn your own sand. But I like it because it's got these feet, so it's kind of like a tripod, but you have a little bit more mobility. And if this is still too stiff, you can pull this piece up and then the whole thing kind of goes like this. And when you're standing, it eliminates the really common problem that you have when you're on a tripod and a gimbal. You have the tripod and the gimbal at your eye, and when the bird is in the sky, you have to squat down. And then when the bird goes into the water, you got to stand up on your tippy toes, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But with this, you can kind of just lean the whole thing back and just lean back, take your shots. And when it's low, you can lean it forward, take your shots. I actually love it. I've used it to do a lot of video. I went out for an entire day, like 12 hours, and shot video all day long with it and never got tired. And I got some incredible footage. You can just walk right up, playing it, boom, get your stuff, walk away. So I really like this Manfrotto MVM X Pro A4 US. And hey, it's made in Italy. You know what that means? No, I don't either. Usually it means it's something pretty good, but I like this this monopod with the gimbal. It's fantastic. I've had a lot of people ask me about the guitar on the wall back here that is now missing because I got it here. They were actually wondering what it was and thinking that it was, I paid somebody to paint this, but I didn't. This is actually a Fender Stratocaster that has this special paint job on it. They made 500 of them, and they did I think five or four variations by the artist David Lazo or something. I don't know. It's printed right back here on this plate. I don't know if you can see that in here or not. Maybe not. Might be too shiny. But I really liked the paint job. It's called the Tree of Life, and it's got this guy down in here. I don't know if maybe the reflections of the lights are too much. It's got this really cool like background too. It kind of fits the whole thing. And this was the first guitar that I've ever purchased that I really just want to hang on the wall. I mean, you can play it and it sounds great and plays great, but I really got it for piece of art, really. And years, many moons ago, I was actually in a rock and roll band, and so I've played guitar for a very long time. I've had a lot of people ask me if I'll play here, but I just don't think it's a good fit for my YouTube channel. Maybe one day I will. Plus, I don't want to step on Ola's toes. He kind of does a good job at what he does. If you don't know who he is, he's another YouTube guy that plays guitar. I'm probably going to drop this if I do that, so I'm just going to put it here. So that's that guitar. It's beautiful. Maybe one day I'll start adding some guitar stuff into the videos. Maybe not. I don't know. I have to kind of feel that out. I also wanted to do this. I forgot to do this in the beginning with the A1. If you're still watching, cool. Thanks for doing that. And if you have questions about the A1, let me know specifically, and maybe I can do a question and answer video on just the A1. Probably should have done that in the beginning, but oh well. If you stuck around, then you get the treat of maybe getting some questions answered of that. Share this video, comment, like, subscribe, buy me a coffee, buy me some pizza. Actually, you don't have to do any of that stuff. You can actually go to the Kickstarter and grab a copy of my book. That's probably the most helpful thing that you can do. And until next time, I'll see you later.